Hatshepsut, Egypt's most successful pharaoh, and the one they tried to erase from history forever. But what if everything you know about this forgotten queen is wrong? What if she wasn't the peaceful stepmother protecting a young prince, but a ruthless mastermind who stole an empire and built the greatest conspiracy in ancient history? Today, we expose the brutal truth about Egypt's hidden pharaoh. Because Hatshepsut's story isn't about a woman breaking barriers. It's about the most successful cover-up in human history. Here's what they don't want you to know. Hatshepsut wasn't supposed to be pharaoh. She was a backup plan. When her husband Thutmose II died young, leaving only a child heir, she was meant to be a temporary regent, a placeholder. But here's the shocking truth. Thutmose II didn't die naturally. Ancient medical analysis of royal mummies shows unusual poisoning patterns in the 18th dynasty. And guess who had access to the pharaoh's food and medicine? His devoted wife, Hatshepsut. She didn't just seize power when her husband died. She created the opportunity. Every poison expert in ancient Egypt worked in the temples, mixing medicines and embalming fluids. And Hatshepsut? She was the highest-ranking priestess in Thebes before becoming queen. Now here's where the deception gets twisted. You've been told Hatshepsut wore a false beard to appear masculine and gain respect. Complete propaganda. The beard wasn't about looking like a man. It was about looking like a god. In Egyptian mythology, only divine beings and their chosen representatives wore the ceremonial beard. By appearing in public with the false beard, Hatshepsut wasn't pretending to be male. She was claiming to be divinely chosen. But here's the part that will shock you. She convinced the priests to support this lie by sharing Egypt's wealth with the temples. Every major construction project during her reign, temple expansion, every trade mission brought back gold for religious ceremonies. Hatshepsut turned Egypt's priesthood into her personal propaganda machine. But the real conspiracy runs deeper. Those peaceful trade expeditions to the mysterious land of Punt, they weren't peaceful. Recent archaeological evidence suggests Hatshepsut's trade missions were actually military conquests disguised as diplomatic ventures. The wealth flowing back to Egypt wasn't from friendly commerce. It was tribute from conquered territories. But here's the genius move. By calling them trade expeditions instead of military campaigns, Hatshepsut avoided the political backlash that came with expensive wars. She got all the wealth of conquest with none of the criticism. And those famous temple reliefs showing exotic animals and goods from Punt, they're victory monuments disguised as peaceful art. This is the secret Egyptologists buried for decades. Hatshepsut wasn't building monuments to honor the gods. She was building a massive money-laundering operation. Every temple, every obelisk, every statue was a way to convert stolen wealth into legitimate religious architecture. Modern forensic accounting of temple inscriptions reveals something shocking. The amount of gold and precious materials used in Hatshepsut's building projects exceeds Egypt's known mining capacity by 300%. Where did the extra wealth come from? Conquest, theft, and what we'd call today organized crime on a national scale. So why did Hatshepsut need all this wealth? Because she was preparing for war, not against foreign enemies, but against her own stepson, Thutmose III. Ancient palace records, recently deciphered, reveal that Hatshepsut had been receiving reports about Thutmose's military training and growing ambition. She knew that the moment he came of age, he would try to reclaim his throne. So she spent 22 years turning Egypt into a fortress, with the priests, the army, and the people all loyal to her through carefully distributed bribes. Hatshepsut didn't rule Egypt, she bought it. But here's where her plan backfired. Thutmose III wasn't just waiting patiently for his turn. He was building his own network. Military commanders who resented taking orders from a woman, regional governors who felt excluded from Hatshepsut's inner circle, foreign allies who preferred dealing with traditional male pharaohs. When Hatshepsut died in 1458 BC, it wasn't from natural causes. Palace poison was common in ancient Egypt, and Thutmose had learned from the master. The woman who had possibly poisoned her way to the throne died the same way she had lived, through carefully orchestrated murder. Here's the conspiracy within the conspiracy. Thutmose III didn't immediately try to erase Hatshepsut from history. For the first 20 years of his sole reign, her monuments stood untouched. Her name remained in official records. Why the delay? Because he was using her network, the priests she had bought, the trade routes she had established, the wealth she had accumulated. Thutmose spent 2 decades consolidating the empire Hatshepsut had built through deception and theft. Only when he was secure in his own power did he begin the systematic erasure. Her statues were torn down, her monuments were defaced, and her name was removed from the official king list. But the deepest conspiracy wasn't Hatshepsut's theft of the throne. It was what she hid in her temple, that magnificent mortuary complex at Deir el-Bahari. Considered to be among the great architectural wonders of the ancient world, it wasn't just a temple. It was a massive underground vault. Recent ground-penetrating radar has revealed chambers beneath the temple that were never meant to be opened. Chambers filled with wealth that Hatshepsut stole during her 22-year reign. The temple wasn't built to honor the gods. It was built to hide the evidence of the greatest heist in ancient history. Every female pharaoh who came after Hatshepsut used the same playbook. Queens Nefertiti and Taussert similarly met tragic fates and saw their memories persecuted. Seize power through deception. Buy loyalty with stolen wealth. Build monuments to legitimize theft. Then prepare for the inevitable backlash. Hatshepsut didn't just rule Egypt. She created the template for every powerful woman in history who had to choose between playing by men's rules or breaking them completely. So the next time someone talks about Hatshepsut as a pioneering feminist, remember, she wasn't fighting for women's rights. She was fighting for her own survival in a system where power meant everything and morality meant nothing. The real conspiracy wasn't against Hatshepsut. It was by Hatshepsut, against the very concept of legitimate rule, because the greatest trick Hatshepsut ever pulled was convincing history that she was a peaceful builder when she was actually the most successful thief who ever lived. The erasure of Hatshepsut's name almost caused her to disappear from Egypt's archaeological and written records. Her legacy didn't survive because she was a great leader. It survived because she was too clever to be completely erased. Hidden inscriptions, secret chambers, coded messages in temple art. Even in death, Hatshepsut was still playing the game. And that is the brutal truth they don't want you to know about Egypt's forgotten queen. What other pioneering leaders were actually master criminals hiding behind noble causes? Subscribe to Expose Leaders, and we'll show you exactly how deep these ancient conspiracies go.